check. 1, 2. There you go.
Testing.
Alrighty.
Headphones.
Need the headphones.
Now I can hear me.
Nice. Hey everybody, we'll get started here in a couple minutes. As always, we're just gonna plug in some more cables and just get ready. So if you haven't checked out the Cinema Sound Education, the buy/rent situation that's now available, you can check out the link that's posted and enjoy. We'll get rolling here in a second.
Enjoy the music.
The groovy music.
The beautiful sounds of cinema sound.
The beautiful sounds of cinema sound. I like that.
Yeah.
To use that. And we are in headphone surround, so if you're on speakers, it sucks to be you while we do something like this. Let's see, we'll make it go forward. This is the surrounds now. They're just sort of mid.
That's cool.
And then, oops, there.
Not that spot.
I've actually got the center channel turned off. That's why if I turn the center channel on, let's make it go straight. There's straight center channel.
It just went right in the front of my brain.
I know, it's like, oh.
Yeah.
And then back to stereo.
It's funny how it tricks your head, your brain.
It's really cool. Bring it just to left and right. And then I love how it's just, if you turn the LFE off, it just sounds like regular headphones. Even if you've got like little iPhone ones on, the little...
Even the little ones.
Yeah. And then if you turn it up, it doesn't sound like you just added bass. It sounds like a low, like a subwoofer down there.
Subwoofer in there.
Which is cool. I love this. Put it back into the surrounds.
It's so weird that it just moves around.
No. Yeah, when you look at it,
possible.
when you look at it in the, you guys can't see this right now, but you can pan.
You can't hear it either.
You can't hear it either. Here, I'll go like this. It's this thing, but that's the top of the head. I've shown you folks this before, the top of the head and the back of the head, and you can just move this literally around and create different things. I'm not gonna do it now because I'm messing with my settings, but it's pretty cool.
I was in the theater and watching the Fantastic Beasts movie is,
Oh yeah.
and something fell in the movie, and it was such good surround sound. I thought something had fallen.
Oh, you look behind?
Me. I was like, what? It's actually pretty good. I was like, oh, that was supposed to be on screen. It was so good behind me.
It's funny. We talk about this in the mix volume where we're talking, and on the quick start guide for those of you who have it. When you have surround stuff that's so interesting, but it's coming from the back, people tend to turn and look.
It's like, and they miss what's going on.
Which on one hand is cool, but on the other hand, all the visual information.
It's great for the sound guy.
Yeah.
The graphics guy is going, they missed the best part of it.
You got a whole audience turning and looking back, going, what was that? And then everything that was on the screen's gone.
Right.
You missed it. I personally like doing that, but you know, I'm a filmmaker, but a sound dude first, so I love it when, especially if you've got overheads and they're like, whoa, what's that? That's my favorite.
You see the whole audience.
They'll get whiplash. Oh! Massage therapist outside.
Is this your music?
It is. This is actually...
I was hoping it was his.
Yeah, thank you. This is music that we used on the Sound Advice tour when you walked in, and on the breaks. And so far, the only music that hasn't been licensed on YouTube somewhere, so I don't get a copyright flag. Like, they copyright flag my own music.
Because
Yeah. And I'm like, no, it's me. And they're like, yeah, but sorry. I'm like, hey.
I can't use my own music?
Right, because it's been licensed, someone else is using it, so not that I don't want someone to use this music, but so far it hasn't been, so I can use it and I don't get copyright flagged. Hey, it's 6. Welcome, Cinema Sound Nation. Welcome to The Compression. I'm your host, Mark Edward. Who am I?
Who are you again?
Mark Edward Lewis, and we have a very special guest, 2-time Emmy Award-winning editor. What are you looking at?
You got a special
The
guest.
surround sound's not that good. I turned it off.
No.
2-time Emmy Award-winning editor and director Sven Kam, who's a very close friend of mine, and he's driven all the way out here to Cinema Sound Studio B to be with us. It's well, for most of you,
Mordor.
It's kind of Mordor right now because We've got massive rain coming down in LA, which I know it seems strange, but at the end of November, we really don't get. But it's,
No, but we're getting it, which we need,
yeah.
except for the mudslides.
Well, you've always seen the news and, the fires, the massive fires we have. What you don't realize is that, oh, here, let me put us on the right screen. Set up the countdown there. Much
Oh,
better.
we're out of the countdown.
The countdown was going haywire.
I don't know how long we've been talking.
How long can those people still talk and not teach us anything? So after fires, then, that's one thing. But then when the rains come, then those houses that are on the hills, you just have these massive landslides because there's nothing to hold the sediment in, and that's the next thing. So,
and if you want that sound effect, you can talk to Mark, and he will probably have a good mudslide sound effect.
Yeah, too soon.
Too soon.
Too soon.
Too soon.
So today we're in the middle of the Fix volume, and we're going to show you some stuff if Sven just isn't that interesting in Audition.
If you get bored.
If we're bored. But what I really want to do is spend some time with him and have him give all y'all some interesting anecdotes, what his experience with sound is. Like me, he hasn't created, but you're creating an education for independent media creatives on getting basically a producing course. Like this is cinema sound for Hollywood immersion, but what if you could get Hollywood value, but at a fraction of the price to get your short films created or your films or whatever you're trying to create, YouTube videos, at a fraction of the price. There's lots of videos, even on MZ, about directing and editing and all that stuff, the cinematography, but nothing about, hey, where do I find these people? How do I get the deals? And so I'm really excited that
contracts and production and what equipment to use, what level of equipment to use, what's right for what kind of project, and so basically a slew of production courses and how to, and another one I'm going to be doing is how to get your short film made, what kind of project to pick, how to get it into festivals, all the tricks and where to save money and that kind of stuff. So there's a couple of courses in the works, so it should be fun.
Totally dope.
Yeah.
So keep an eye out. Do you know what you're calling it yet?
It is called the Independent Producers Academy.
Oh, the Independent Producers.
IPA.
Oh yeah, IPA.
Like a beer.
Like a
so
beer,
it's
wow.
like take a drink of the Independent Producers Academy.
That's fabulous. Who's excited about that? I'm excited about that. Wouldn't that be amazing if you could just all the things that that you're muted.
My mic's not working.
It'd be amazing. So let's see. Just a couple of bits of business, and we're going to jump in. There's no compression next week. I'm going to be in Washington, D.C., actually with Saramonic microphones in the nation's capital. I'm going to say filming, not shooting, filming senators and House representatives in the nation's capital. So that'll be cool. But I will not be here. I will be there. With plenty of stories to tell you, I'm sure. So don't be here and get mad.
You can't be shooting.
Yeah, don't.
You can't say shooting at the Capitol. He's
filming
video.
Yeah, none of that.
Making video.
Let's see. Hey, Alukawan, welcome. I don't think we've had you. Maybe, if so, I've never had to pronounce your name before. Welcome. And hey, Max. What's my mic setup today? Yeah, it's a little different, right? Normally it's a Saramonic TM7 that's just pointed at my face. But today, and actually before I had the TM7, I was running, they're called Rode, thank you, Rode filmmaker kits.
You've forgotten them
I know,
completely.
I don't even know who that is. A Rode filmmaker kit that was running into an F8. But now I've got the Soundcraft UI24 mixer, which I've shown you all. And if you don't have one of those mixers, you're missing out. I mean, amazing. And what is great about it is normally there's a lot of noise. Not a lot of noise. I'm in a studio, but there's still ambient noise. And these are, Omni, right? These are the UW Mic 9s from Saramonic and you see me with the videos. I hope the difference between these Saramonic Labs and the Rode filmmaker kits were how much better these are than the Rode filmmaker kit mics. But they're still Omni, and there's a ton of, they just pick up everything, right? And we're not doing gunshots, so we have the mic pre's up pretty loud. But what the UI-24 allows for is not only EQ, so we're nice and crispy and clean, but there's also a gate. So if we don't say anything, they go dead. But if I talk just quiet enough, you can hear the noise in the room just a little bit.
Right.
You can hear going. If I just talk really quietly, it opens up, but as soon as I stop talking, it closes off, and you're at 0. So that's pretty cool. That's why it sounds super clean. Little EQ, a little high pass.
Where's that gate?
It's in the UI. For us, it's right in front of us. It's the Soundcraft UI-24. It's in the 16. It's in the 12. It's all the electronics are the same, just more inputs. And I mean, the 16 is under $400. I mean, what? And it's controlled from your iPad. It's so dope. Don't get me started.
I saw you playing with that. It was really cool. You're like, oh man, this is awesome.
Yeah, and I used to do the F8, which is fine, obviously, but it doesn't have any of the EQ. It just has the high pass, and it doesn't have a gate that is of any use. So this helps a lot. So good question. Hey, Jody. Let's see.
Hi, Jody.
Shooting your Max. Keep it clean, Max. Keep it clean. And actually, POTUS might be there. We don't know. We'll see. Certainly, the speaker will be there. So, was it Paul Ryan?
Yeah.
Paul Rand.
Paul Rand.
Paul Rand.
Paul Ryan.
We're trying to figure out who it was.
We couldn't remember who it was. Paul Rand. I was saying it was Nancy Pelosi already. I'm like already one jump ahead.
Well, the thing is, Sven's sort of like a vampire. He comes out of the coffin every 6 years, and that's why it was Nancy. So used to be. Used to be.
Used to be. Well, she's going to be Speaker of the House again.
Is that right?
Because the Democrats are now.
Oh, that's right. They're the majority now.
This isn't a politics show, but if it was, that would.
If it were.
If this was a politics show.
That's the right way.
Was...
So we met not on a gig at all. We just met personally through an organization that we're still involved with. And very quickly, I joined him in finishing his movie Curse of the Shaolin, which is now on Amazon, other distribution. A really sort of hilarious and yet moving documentary on the Shaolin monks that do they still live here?
Yeah, they're still in Chinatown.
Okay.
They've kind of gone their separate ways. Some of them are teaching, and they've moved on a bit. I'm not sure if they're performing together anymore.
Oh, okay. And we that's how we kind of connected. And he'd already had his Emmys making dust or collecting dust on the mantle. So tell us...
making dust
holes.
I kept one of my Emmys in the bathroom, and it would hold up a toilet paper roll, which I thought was...
Don't say that.
I did, and then I realized it was not good for the gold finish. So.
Yeah. Hey, Jerry. Welcome back. So tell us, I just want to spend some time... these are independent media creatives of all fashions, not just filmmakers. There we have podcasters, we have people that are doing commercials, we have Jordan does weddings and a bunch of other things, and Jody's doing her projects all over the place. So, as someone who works in Hollywood, who's worked in Hollywood a lot, just maybe talk about Curse of the Shaolin or talk about how you made it in the industry. What did they really need to know? Just in general.
In general.
Mm-hmm.
That's a broad question.
I know.
You kind of
specify it.
Can I? What do you need to know? I don't know. It's funny because I was talking to someone today, and he was like, "Well, my daughter wants to be an actress, and she likes photography, but he goes, being an actor, you got to have a real job, and so I think that's what to start out when you're starting out in the film business." You need to figure out where's the place to start that you can move up, that you can learn from people that are doing what you want to do. You can start in a lower position and then move your way up. And I was suggesting that she becomes a photographer assistant or work on, there's so many social media places and doing media that she would be able to actually film or, be on camera occasionally, if that's what she really wanted to do. But I think in general, in the film business, it's smart to get involved at a company you like what they're doing, and then just move up the ranks, get to know people, and hone your craft on your own, because you're not going to get paid to direct your own stuff until ever. When and if it happens, you've got to have been working on it on your own. So that's what I would say for producers, like media producers, or whatever you're doing.
So if you are shooting your own stuff, I mean, several of our members are shooting their own things. What then?
In what way?
Well, there's making art for art's sake, and that's great, but that won't get your bills paid. In fact, it just drains your bank account. And then there's trying to find a way to turn your art into money somehow.
Into commerce.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what I did is I did short films because they're cheaper and you can make multiple short films, and you can be working on a lot of little projects, and you can do them and then get them into film festivals. And film festivals are a great way to get your stuff out there, and then just have people see it. You get to go to the events and network. So all that, there's so many different venues for content where you get to bring, there's 48-hour film festivals where you take 48-hour or 24-hour, I think, where you go and you have 24 hours to make a film. And then at the end, you screen it and you meet people that you can work with. And so there's a lot of different places, I think, to get your stuff seen, get it out there, and make connections. It's all about making connections and building, that film family that you want to work with. And then eventually, hopefully the people with money will give you that to make your thing.
So some of the mistakes that I've seen, and there are very few of our members that live in LA, in that hub, or in any of the hubs, Atlanta, New Orleans, any of those hubs, they kind of live everywhere. Austin, I think we do have somebody from Austin. But film festivals, it's one thing to go to a film festival, get accepted, which is a thing in and of itself.
It's hard enough, yeah.
And then find a way to manipulate the system to get awards. But to get people who are anybody to go see your film at a film festival, especially if you're not in a hub,
right.
Even if you are in a hub, just because it's at a film festival, A, doesn't mean there's anybody there that could greenlight you or be interested. But how would you stack the deck for your screening to get VIP people there that could say yes?
Well, you can only ask, but I think it's really hard to get the VIPs there. It's probably easier to get them to watch it, send it to them or email them. If you have any connection at all, say, here's my film, it's shown up, it's been in this festival and this festival. The festivals are just kind of your resume. And then, you...
Olive branch leaf things on your poster.
Put them on there and say, best film at Telluride or...
And misspell it.
Yeah, Telluride.
so it's not actually Telluride.
It's a different festival that I had in my backyard.
Sounds like Telluride. Don't do that. So I live in Hackensack, New Jersey, and I'm a filmmaker, or I want to be a filmmaker. I have a project, or I have several. How do I don't have connections. I don't have anybody to invite, and I'd have to go through their agent, or I have to cold call. Do you have any advice for how to get in touch with either actors or producers or greenlit people? Obviously, finding out who they are, but how do we do that these days?
That's a tough one. That's the big question. I think that you cold call people, you find the people that know people that can at least make that phone call for you. It's like begging and borrowing, asking favors of anyone who will listen to it, watch it. But I really feel like that's kind of the dream, and it happens. But at a festival, you may talk to someone, they may not have seen your film, but I think it's really smart to carry your film on an iPad. And when you meet somebody who's important and somebody who has a connection you need, you go, hey, just watch it. It's like 3 minutes, and if they don't have time, you got to hone your pitch to when you're talking to people, how long they're going to listen. And so you have a 30-second pitch to get them interested, then you have your 5-minute pitch to get them to watch it, or you just start a conversation. I mean, it's always good to, make friends with people, and eventually, if you just tell them what you're doing, they're going to be like, "Hey, do you want to?" That's the way to do it. It's like grassroots. Just keep building up a network of people you know.
Mm.
That's what I would do.
And you keep banging this light. Can
Yeah.
you I'm just going to reach over here.
Yeah,
I'm just going to go
I'm
like
just trying
this.
to keep it.
Look at this. Now look what's happened. The world is
Tragedy.
coming to an end.
Tragedy. Can I just put it back up?
You just squeeze the back of it so that it
That's what
just,
she said.
you know, don't say that. That's just going to come down somewhere in the middle of this, so that'll be great. Here, hold on a second.
I'm well back.
Keep entertaining the folks.
This is what happens when this is real. This is the drama, the behind-the-scenes stuff that you pay for the extra on the DVD. This is it. So you're getting the extra value right now. This is the best part. The drama. I had one take where a light came crashing down and hit the actor dead center in their head, and they fell. And it was like, how can I put that in the movie? It's so. It was the best thing that happened in the scene.
Oh man!
But I didn't do it.
That's awfully nice.
It was, yeah, and I felt really bad because it was not a light.
It wasn't a light light.
It wasn't a light. It was a heavy light.
Oh. Okay, so you've done a lot of time in prison. I mean, on set, and
But same thing.
more or less.
Prison set.
Tell us about situations that you run into with audio, either, and it doesn't even have to be on set, where you were handed something as an editor and you're like, what? Or,
I should have planned these audio events. I just remembered that, it's always good to have your backup audio going. I've run audio for other people, just on occasion, and it's just smart. You have a mic. I know that one guy I was working with, super anal, really always worried about things going wrong. And so where there was a microphone, we also put a lavalier on the mic stand. So if we lost the feed to the mic, we had a lavalier that we could plug into. So that's kind of like a backup because, if you lose that feed, it was a big award show. And so, but getting up there and trying to put a lavalier on their mic, they're like, what are you doing? Get out of here. Don't. But, always have a backup plan and, make sure that you have a second. This is my best advice on set, especially for audio, for anything. For batteries, it's like 1 is none, 2 is 1, and 1 is none. Because you always have to have a backup. If you think you have a spare battery, it's like, what if it's not charged? So you always have to have 2 of everything. So 1 is none, and 2, I keep saying it backwards. 2 is 1, and 1 is none.
good advice.
Yeah.
Especially if you're doing awards. We have an interview with Cole, one of the first articles we had on Cinema Sound way back a couple years ago, and he talks about how he had to record the last ringing of the Liberty Bell.
You don't want to miss that.
Well, but think about that. How, first of all, that is a gigantic musical instrument,
Right.
the volume of which is massive, and you just don't know how massive. And
Right.
you don't want to record it too quiet because you're going to
You
have
don't
your
get
mic.
a test.
Yeah, you don't get a test, and you only get one.
Yeah.
And I don't remember how many microphones he said he had out at various levels just to make sure one of them was going to be somewhere.
That's smart.
It's sort of like when you ever have to do a time lapse of a sunrise, and you expose it wrong.
Right.
It comes up like,
It's it just blew up. It's nothing. So for 12 hours,
You're like,
you got
"No."
nothing. Yeah.
Same kind of thing, except they're paying you to do that. Oh, well. Okay, so...
You can't unring that bell.
You can. That was good.
Yeah.
I like that.
Thanks.
Curse of the Shaolin, we shot that, at least by the time I came in Chinatown, we shot on the venerable HVX 200 Panasonic. What did we use for that? Do you remember?
It was the Sony.
The UWP?
UWP.
Okay. We didn't use Sennheiser, any of the Gs?
No, you're right. It was a Sennheiser.
Okay.
It was a Sennheiser
G2?
G2.
G2. It was a while ago. And again, for those of you who have Sennheiser C bands, if you like the feel of handcuffs, you should continue using them. Otherwise, sell them overseas. I can't be more serious. Stop using them, and you can't sell them here. Sell them overseas where it's still legal to use them. But
So when does that kick in? Is it already
it's been in for years. C band.
Oh,
Yeah, the C band. We're looking at now, I forget, it's basically now all 600 megahertz and up.
it's all dead.
It's not all dead, but for all intents and purposes, it's dead.
Right. You can get away with it, but you don't want to get caught.
Yeah. Well, actually, when we did Sound Advice in LA, we hadn't learned how they police it.
How do they?
Because we came down the West Coast and then went down the South and went back up to Eastern Canada. In Toronto, the Sony rep was there for both America and Canada, and I had him just come up and talk about what was coming. And this was 2015, right? A while ago.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, here's how it works. I mean, you can use these things, your $1,000, $900 a channel UW system, UWP system, or whatever it is, Sennheiser, G3, even if it's illegal. I mean, it's not illegal if nobody knows about it, right? But what happens is the Google cars that run around, that take the pictures of all the streets all the time, apparently, I haven't seen one. I don't even know what a Google car would look like.
I've seen a Google car. It's just a self-driving car with a little...
Really?
It's got a little camera on the top.
You're kidding. Self-driving?
Yeah.
Like nobody in the car?
I think some of them are self-driving.
Whoa. In this car, apparently...
could be making that up.
In that car, apparently, is a sensor that tests what frequencies are being used.
Really?
And if it drives by and it picks up 600 megahertz or above, it flags it, sends it to the men in black at the FCC, and they may come and investigate if it continues.
And you thought Google was bad before that?
Well, yeah. So it's only getting worse.
The overlords have us locked in now.
They're locked in. So that's one of the reasons why I like 2.4 gigahertz, 5.8 gigahertz, and I'm willing to throw in my money at inexpensive 500 megahertz because at some point that's also going to go away. But right now it doesn't look like anyone's buying it.
Right.
And so all this we're on the UW mic 9. Sorry, Ceramonic system. We're at, I think you're at 555 and I'm at.
It's this one.
5.
Wondering.
There you go. Yeah, it looks just like the Sony UWP, but we're actually running 2 transmitters that are going to 1 receiver, and it's splitting out. So that's pretty cool.
Sounds great.
Yeah, for $400, 2 channels.
That's great.
I think that's
one receiver.
2 transmitters and a basically dual receiver.
For half the price
of
less
one.
Than half the price.
Less than half the price of 1 Sony UWP. Now look, a Sony UWP is a fantastic, a Sennheiser G3 is a fantastic transmission reception device. Great microphone. It's worth it. But if you want high value, you're not going to go buy a UWP or a G3. Anyway, we digress to record.
I think I still have that Sennheiser and it still works.
Yeah.
But I'm not using it.
I double check its frequency.
Yeah.
I would.
I think it's 600.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't use it.
I think it's illegal.
I don't think you should use
it's
that.
It's like marijuana is not illegal, but my microphone is.
But my microphone.
Yeah, right. It's weird. The society's gotten to a weird place.
You keep bending this towards politics.
I'm just saying.
It's like you can join the military and kill somebody, but you can't drink if you're 18.
Right. Yeah. I didn't say that. That was him.
I know it's all me.
I didn't make it politics.
Just making another observation about the dichotomy. So tell us about your transition. Sven's made a gigantic transition in his life, which Cinema Sound.
I was a woman.
Yeah, Svetlana used to be. No. Because Sven did basically all the final exports of the 85-hour Cinema Sound education. He did the color correction, helped with a bunch of other things. And in that process was forced.
I was kind of pushed into the premiere world.
Yeah, and he was sort of not interested, but we forced him to do it.
You know,
So,
I'd always thought of Premiere as the, you know, the low budget student. I always thought of it that way because I was working on Avid, and then I moved to Final Cut because it was like, now I'm not working at a post house, I'm doing it at home, and I was doing my own projects, and Final Cut was great until 10 came out, and I wasn't a happy adopter of 10, and then you pushed me toward Premiere, and I'm like, oh, it does everything really well, and it plays well with all the other, you know, all the other Adobe stuff. So that was the great thing. Kind of being pushed into it was great. And then the show that I just worked on a show that they wanted to do it in Premiere, and then they had to go back to Avid, and I was like, God, I don't want to go back to Avid because it's like Avid's great at sharing. It's really good at having a central server where everybody uses the same stuff. And that's one problem with Premiere that I was having, is that if we had a project that somebody exported and took away and came back with, it would have all these weird audio edits that it would create because it was taking the old edit and trying to match it up with the new version that this person did when I would import it. It just doesn't share well. It creates some weird list, and it has a lot of stuff offline, and that's not good. But Avid's better for that, but Avid's also, you know, it's a beast, and it's going the way of the dodo bird.
considering what we saw at NAB this year, without question. I mean, they have, except for Adobe, maybe the biggest booth in the show, but you're just like, guys, what?
Quit trying so hard.
What is going on? I mean, Pro Tools, maybe,
Yeah.
but Avid, wow.
Yeah.
You know, and I've said before, you know, maybe Max, it was you who asked, she's like, hey, should you do Pro Tools, or are we doing Audition, or are we doing DaVinci Resolve for audio? And I'm like, well, look, you're never going to hear me ditch anybody's software except Avid software, which I regularly and happily diss. So I 100% agree.
So you've been using Resolve, and how's that working for you?
I unfortunately don't have any large format projects. I do large format projects in Resolve, but all the Cinema Sound stuff, anything that doesn't require me to have to finish in big 4K high level color, I'm in Premiere. For super small little things where I got to add titles really fast and things like that, I'm still doing Final Cut because it renders faster.
And I thought it had a really good keyer. Final Cut.
Yeah.
Final Cut 10 has a great keyer. It's like one button, and then it's like suppression, and it's like done.
Yeah.
But you can get the same key on Premiere. It just takes more steps. It's not as easy like with the Final Cut. It's just like, boom, click on the green, then, you know, widen it a little bit, widen that band, and it's done.
Yeah. What I do with Premiere on every project is ingest and assistant editing. The setup in Premiere, even on big projects, it's going into Premiere because there isn't another nonlinear editor that can take 20 tracks, 20 independent microphones in a scene, if I've got a big ensemble scene, and sync them all at once and do it really well, even if you don't have time code. But
Right.
Premiere will. And, you know, you've heard me moan about how Premiere doesn't quite get it frame accurate, but getting it close is pretty good, because ultimately I know I can get the audio out of Premiere in a way
Right.
that either Pro Tools or some other software will read. Whereas in Final Cut, you got to be kidding. It's like vomiting audio everywhere.
When Final Cut started treating audio like video, and you could put it above a video track, I was like, have they lost their minds? I'm like, what is that? I want a delineation between audio and video. And it was like, you can just put it anywhere. I'm like, it doesn't work for me.
You're like, yes, you can put it anywhere and have it unlabeled, and then it will export it anywhere. And then you're going to spend another day in Pro Tools or whatever, in Audition even, going, where do these go?
Do you use Pluralize at all for like multiple tracks?
I've never been able to get Pluralize to work in a way that took me less time than doing it in Premiere.
Or by hand, probably.
By hand, pluralize is faster, but maybe it's nothing with pluralize. I don't know. Maybe I just need you to show me how to use it, because
pluralize works when you're just ingesting on-camera audio and like it's like syncing to that simple stuff. I never did it for big, like 21 tracks. That's not the stuff I do.
Yeah. Well, even when we did the Cinema Sound update, because actually Sven was the one I went to update the Cinema Sound library, or education, sorry, when we replaced Rode with the Ceramonic in chapter, volume 1, chapter 3 and 4 and 5, and some of the sound effects.
Right.
Some of those we recorded on an F8. Some of those we got out to 7 tracks worth of microphones that were banging away.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have dared try to do that in pluralize, personally.
Yeah. And you prefer Resolve because you'd be doing the color timing when you're doing a big 4K project? Because they would be doing it in DaVinci?
Yeah, I prefer it for big projects, because in the end, that project's going to end up in Resolve one way or another. It may not be in my studio, the final, but when it goes to the color correction guy, because I'm not going to do all. I mean, I'll set up the framing and fix little issues and things like that, but I'm not color correcting it. The final. It's going to go to somebody who's going to use Resolve, and I haven't had a lot of great success translating Premiere files to
DaVinci,
to a DaVinci situation when I've had to do push-ins and these kinds of things. And maybe that's just me not calling technical support enough at Adobe, which is really good. But it's just been, I actually haven't done a large-scale edit in 2 years. And since that time, my understanding is Premiere's come way, way up. Definitely, I know it has in the color correction scheme and the deliverable. So I haven't tried
the
it.
color correction's great. Yeah. It's funny, I was thinking, as you were saying, being on technical support, I've been editing for so long that there was a time we only had the manual, and you had to look things up in the manual, and if you didn't know how to do something and you didn't want to wait on tech support, you would call somebody who you knew, or you had to figure it out yourself. There was no Google, there was no like YouTube videos about every little thing. It's changed a lot.
That's kind of how it is still for me, because in my community, I'm the one that knows how to fix everything.
So
Everyone's like, Lewis, how do we fix it? I'm like, we can't find it on Google anywhere. I'm like, my son just did that to me today.
You gotta make a YouTube video.
My son just did that to me. He texted me and goes, Dad, my keyboard died, and I think all my USB ports on my Mac died. I'm like, well, does it work in the front? No, the front ones are dead. I'm like, does it work in the back? Yes. Well, then the USB is not dead because they're all connected the same. And I said, well, zap the PRAM. He goes, well, my keyboard doesn't work. I'm like, oh, well, that's true. Okay, well then, do the hardware zapper. You unplug it, hold the button down for 15 seconds, it recycles, and then plug it back in. It's like, oh, it works now. So I'm sure he could have found that on Google.
The old hard reset.
Yeah, the hardware reset. If it doesn't work, just power cycle it, man. Power brain it.
I think we should do that to ourselves occasionally. Just do a hard reset on the brain.
That's called electric shock
therapy. Yeah, ECT, electroconvulsive therapy. And I'm just saying, I need some. Is all I'm saying. Just a quick reset.
Well, the nice thing about these Cinema Sound headphones is they do have some electrodes on the inside. We could run some voltage here. I think I can cue it from my phone, actually.
Yeah. Okay. Just give me a little shock when I don't say the right thing.
A little 20.
When I veer toward politics again, you can just...
Oh, the politics are fine. Mostly. Yeah, well. You are in Orange County now, so you're behind the orange curtain.
That's true.
Oh, boy. Yes. All right, so...
you're bored with me now, so you're going to do a little sound
No, I'm not going to do that yet. No, we got lots to. I got a whole list of stuff to put you on the hot seat about. Tell us about, you're developing a show, and the good news is you may have found some money for it, and without telling the whole world what it's about so that they can go do it, what was your process for developing? Because some people just don't understand what's required to even come up with an idea. Writing a script is one thing, but then What are some of the other elements that you really want to have present when you're handing it to somebody to say, will you fund this? Will you distribute this? You know,
Well, this is unusual because I pitched it to him at at an event, and he was interested, and he's a super big money guy. Like,
is he to lose a lot of weight?
yeah, no, not super big as in size.
Oh,
It's all the big money. Like, he's done a bunch of movies, and so he said to me, he goes, just send it to me. And I'm like, well, I need to tweak. He goes, don't worry about it. It's not that hard, but we'll get it done through one of these companies. He named 3 companies. It's like, one of those guys will get it done. He goes, don't worry about it. Just send it to me. And I'm like, this is a guy who could do that. And that's really rare. And, I'll wait till it happens,
You can die of starvation from interest.
Yeah. And, but, it's great that he wants to see it. And so now I'm actually fervently redoing the script and trying to fine tune it so that when it gets to him, it's perfect.
I don't think anyone's used the word fervent in this studio yet, so that's good.
There you go, fervent.
Fervent. Okay, so that's unusual. What would you expect if you were going to pitch something? What are some of the materials that you got to kind of have on hand?
So I was doing this for a while. We were pitching a project, and we had a whole package, and we would develop it with, we had I think more people are doing pitch decks now than, I didn't have a pitch deck. I had a
What's a pitch deck?
Pitch deck is a video it's basically a video presentation. It's, it's done on, what's the?
Keynote.
It's done on Keynote, and you just basically show them all the elements, and you get them, you show them statistics, but you make it interesting. But then there are other people that will do these effect guys are amazing because they will do an effects version without people in it. There's 2 different ways that I've heard that have been really successful, which is really interesting with where you build from other people's footage, you cut together a trailer for your movie that you haven't shot yet. So you use the backs of people's heads, and you make it like the action scene. And so you take the elements that are in because nothing's original. So you take the elements that are in your thing, and you cut a trailer for it using a VO that describes your project as
in a world.
In a world, exactly. Or this effects guy did a computer-generated version of the whole movie. Like he was like, this is the way I see it, and because he was an effects guy, he could go in and he built it all, and he like had animated characters doing the things that he saw in the scenes, and he did dialogue, and it's like, okay, that blew them out of the water, and they decided they changed directors.
Wow.
Just because they were already locked and loaded, and they took the meeting anyway. But then when they saw this thing that he had built, they were like, okay. So I think the more time and the more, it's like I always have music to woo them. You put in your music and you say, this is the kind of feeling that I want. So you set a tone, you give them sample dialogue, you get them involved in the project and the idea. And it's funny because I've heard agents saying, we really didn't like the idea that much, but we loved the way he pitched it in the room. And it's like, that was more important to them than they're like, the idea we can fix. We got plenty of people to fix that. But he was really passionate about it and the way he brought it to us. So, have every element that, talk about the people that you want to involve and give them a character that they can lock into. I mean, I'm talking about films. I know this is audio, but I'm speaking about projects where you give them like, okay, picture James Carrey, because in their head, they know who, James Carrey is. And Jim Carrey, James Cameron.
Wow.
Jim Carrey.
Which one are we talking about?
But so, see, they would picture the wrong person because they said James Carrey instead of Jim Carrey. But
you're friends, so you call him James.
James. Me and James. I respect the man, so I call him James. James. I love your paintings.
James Rabinowitz.
Right. So do that. Just have as many elements as you can and as much passion as you can bring to it, and don't soft sell it and don't knock yourself. It's like, I know this isn't going to do well because it's a small movie. Don't let them figure out the things that are not going to work. Don't tell them what's not going to work.
Right. Good point. And that, of course, doesn't apply in any other field except just film. Only here
It
does
only
it
works
apply.
in film.
Yeah, definitely everywhere else, soft sell yourself
Yeah.
and talk about what you don't have and what you're not good at.
Yeah.
You know, that really helps. I just had a conversation with somebody about that today. Like, how do I pitch this? I'm like, well, you don't do it the way you're doing it now, which is to me like, well, how do I do it?
I don't know if I'm going to do this right, but it could change.
you can change. Yeah, not how we do it. And you know, we're talking. He's talking film, and of course we're, you know, making a joke about it that this applies everywhere unilaterally. But if you're, you know, podcasts, if you're trying to do a podcast and trying to make money at it, trying to get yourself on iTunes, or if you have to take meetings, it's the same thing. It's the creative. I'll jump on a political wagon, but it's a Hollywood political wagon, which is bean counters don't understand creatives. Bean counters. By that I mean people who look at numbers on a data sheet and try to say, and they look at creatives like these people we have to deal with, but I need them because without them, we don't have any product. The last thing bean counters want to hear from creatives is, I just don't feel like I can be creative. Because they don't have an answer for that.
Right.
They don't have a,
they can't help you.
Yeah, and they need you.
Yeah, just tell us, just be very positive and at least sure of what you want, and then let them change it. But if you're like, I don't have any idea how we would do this, but I think we could do it. What do you think?
Yeah.
Then they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. So,
yeah. How am I supposed to know?
Yeah. How am I? That's not my job.
Right.
You do your job. I got the beans.
Yeah.
You're supposed to bring the jar for the beans.
The jar. We're breaking down the analogy now.
It's getting a little too far.
That's good. What else do independent creatives need to know who are out there in the thick of it?
I heard a good one the other day. It's like, if you don't want, like, if you're doing podcasts or if you're doing a subject that you're interested in that you want to bring to the world, if you don't want to talk about it for 2 years, don't do it. Because you got to have 2 years of stamina. You got to be able to keep putting yourself out there and working hard. And like Mark is doing here, he's bringing cinema sound to people, and it's like he's been doing it for a while and he keeps doing it. And now, he's the authority on, not that you weren't before, but, doing 50 hours of video. That took
85,
a year.
85.
Well, I only like the first 50.
Okay, it's fair enough.
No, I mean, the first 50 were great, but then the plot got a little thin.
Looking at that screen all the time.
His
wow.
face, I had to look at his face, and I was like, it's not me, but it's close.
Lordy.
But you got to have 2 years of passion behind it, at least enough to be willing to talk about it for 2 years, because it takes that long to get an audience and it doesn't happen overnight. I mean, it does for some people, but
it doesn't.
That happened once, and everybody's been using that story to.
Yeah, at the Oscars.
That
was an overnight success.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you've got questions for Sven, just type them into the thing. I'm going to jump into a little bit of, I'm sure why you all showed up, although you probably showed up to see Sven, not learn about audio cleanup and audition. But let's do a little audio cleanup and audition while you get ready for some juicy questions. Just drop them onto the little thing. If that's a technical term, the little thing.
The little thing, just put it on the little thing.
Window,
The
chat window. You may need to rotate if you're on a mobile device, you may need to rotate it so that shows up. But anyway, go ahead and ask. We're going to jump to Audition. And actually, no, we're going to jump to Premiere. Let me just move us over.
My favorite, Premiere.
Yay, here's Premiere. All right, so.
Oh, look, we're small now.
I know, we're teeny.
Little. I like it when your dismembered hand comes out.
Oh, that's so weird.
I have a really long arm.
It's like that thing with
trying
your
to
thumb.
make it interesting for the audience.
Oh, my thumb. And now you're just doing it digitally. Yeah, I can do it too. Toys for boys. Okay, I have a piece of audio. Believe it or not, for those of you who were on Sound Advice, we recorded, Andreas, if you remember, Andreas and I recorded in next to a series of vending machines in a hotel that made the most incredible noise. It was really amazing. I just whipped out a microphone and re-recorded it.
There's so much noise.
Yeah, we're like, let's just use this. And I think we used it one show, and it was so hard to correct that we never used it again. We're like, let's not do this anymore.
Like it's too much noise.
Go back to the easy stuff. But for you, we spare no expense. Okay, so here is the little piece of audio just here. It's just a little clip that, you know, this is what it sounds
When
like.
Julian Hernandez was trying to apply for college, he unearthed a secret that would change his life forever. He had been missing for 12 years. When Julian
Sorry, I was pointing at it. I was doing visual aids. It's right there.
I've got the arrow for you. Just
All right, I'm just trying to help.
Okay, that's great. Go ahead and, yeah, go ahead.
I'm the comic relief. Come on, you know that.
Okay, so you get that. If we double click, we get it up here in the window. If you look at this waveform, it looks like just a regular old waveform, but if you look carefully, you see all this junk that's in between the dialogue.
Julian Hernandez was trying to apply for college, he unearthed...
That's the junk, right? All the vending machine nonsense. And you wouldn't know it was vending machine nonsense just by looking at a waveform, but obviously your brain knows it if you listen to it. One of the things you could try is the Essential Sound panel, which is this here, and you can find it by going up to Windows and Essential Sound. And Essential Sound typically does a really good job of fixing easy to fix stuff. So let's just see what that does here. We're going to select the audio. We're going to tell it that it's dialogue, and you've got all these various bits, which I've demoed before, and certainly in the education for being able to enhance sound, including my favorite one, which is the male enhancement. Yes.
What does that do? Give it testosterone?
It does some wonderful things. As they told me.
Male enhancement. Oh, yeah. I see. It's something else.
Wow, it took you that long.
I was thinking about sound.
Very good.
I'm very focused.
What's funny is when they told me about it, they were like, well, it's really simple, but it has a lot going on under the hood.
Oh.
It's like, really? Wow, so awesome. Okay.
That's the pitch.
But if we go to repair, and we say reduce noise, let's just kind of turn this on.
That's a lot of noise too. That's like
it's a massive amount.
Sounds like somebody drilling on his teeth while he's talking.
It was amazing when we were there. So, as I always say, there's always a coefficient between having all the noise and no artifacts, or no noise and all the artifacts. And it depends on, obviously, the kind of noise correction you're doing. This is Fast Fourier Transfer, FFT. So this is what it sounds like with it off.
Julian Hernandez was trying to apply for college.
And we're going to bring it up halfway.
When Julian Hernandez was trying to apply for college, he unearthed a secret.
We're going to dram it all the way over.
When Julian Hernandez was trying to apply for college,
he sounds like he's underwater now.
A secret that would change his life forever.
Now, it got rid of all the whines, but it's also whacking on his voice pretty good.
Yeah.
Which, it would save you maybe ADR, maybe then you could add EQ again. In fact, if we go to this EQ, it has a nice little EQ thing in here. Oh, am I doing it right? Yes, I just need EQ. We're going to turn this on. We're going to go to vocal presence. Turn this up a little bit more. That's kind of the curve that we're looking for. We'll turn this way up. See what happens now.
When Julian Hernandez was trying to apply for college, he unearthed a secret that would change his life forever.
And while it made it more intelligible, it also exposed the fact that it's just kind of crunching musical weirdness going on in there. This is a very, very difficult thing to solve.
And it makes his voice ring a little bit too.
Let's turn it down a little bit just to give it a more reasonable setting. I mean, that 10 setting is pretty rough.
When Julian Hernandez was trying to apply for college, he unearthed a secret that would change his life forever.
It's a little more reasonable, but then you've got the whines back in, and again, it's still not usable.
This is pretty worst case scenario.
Yeah,
though.
it's not worse.
It's not worst case.
Last week or 2 weeks ago, we had one that was pretty rough.
Yeah,
we had airplanes and everything, but this is bad. Excuse me, this is bad, and we recorded it
Hernandez was trying to
specifically
apply for college.
For this.
He unearthed a secret that would change his life forever.
So that's it. Most of you know that you can take your entire timeline and send it over to Audition using dynamic linking, which we've talked about over and over. The picture comes with it.
Linking.
So great. You can send it to Media Encoder.
And then it comes right back, and it's in the timeline. It's awesome.
If you go to Audition, it doesn't come back that way, but you ultimately export from Audition anyway. You would, or Media Encoder and bring it back in.
Right.
So if you don't do dynamic linking, you can do the thing which many of you have seen, which is edit in Adobe Audition this clip. Now this is not the same thing as the sequence. If you do sequence, that's the dynamic link bit. But if you do clip, it'll send just the clip over, and it will, in the olden days, it would actually destructively change your file, your Premiere file. But
Right.
in this case now with the new versions, it actually creates a new file. It's usually called whatever the file name is, extracted, and it'll show up in your little audio or in your
Timeline.
not. It actually replaces it in your timeline, but in your file, wherever folder the original was, you'll see a new file
Source
there.
folder. Yeah.
It's like you've used this. You use it much more than I do. So let's go clip, and it's going to do a look at that right there. It even said render and replace, so you know it
Wow,
made a
that
new
looks
file. Look at how
terrible.
pretty that is.
That looks horrible.
In fact, I'm going to move this over because my head is blocking. My head is blocking.
But it's a good
this.
head.
That's very nice. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. There we go.
Us men with good heads have to stick together
Stick
because
together.
it's like
Yeah.
When Julie
I
and
have
her
a full head of hair. I just choose to show off this amazing skull that I have. It's a nice one, round. I mean, hairs for that's so last year,
So it's the last decade.
so last decade.
Okay, so if you haven't seen this before, this is the spectral view. It's basically early to late. That means the stuff that's over here is the beginning of the file. This stuff that's over here is at the end. And if it's on the top, that means it's high frequency. In fact, if you can look closely, it says 20K all the way down to 0. It's on a strange little curve there. And if it's brighter, that means it's louder. Darker, it's quieter. So you can see the overtones in Andreas's voice.
When Julian Hernandez was trying to apply for college, he unearthed a secret that would change his life forever.
I want to
He
know
had
if he
been
gets
missing
into
for
college.
12 years.
I'm really wrapped up in the story.
I never found out.
Julian Hernandez.
We've talked about it before. To teach Adobe Audition, even if it comes from Premiere, what the noise we want to get rid of is, we select a place. Now, fortunately, we have a very small place right here. The rest of it, he's talking or breathing.
Secret that would change his life forever. He had been missing for 12 years.
So this is okay, except for what? There's a big click in there.
There's a
And that will disturb the teaching of Audition, what the noise, it'll make a weird curve in the high frequency. So let's see here. To change that, I go to Effects, Noise Reduction Restoration, Automatic Click Remover, or Click Pop Illuminator.
I'm learning this too, kids, so it's
Pretty cool, right? So let's just do
Very cool.
this. Let's see what that sounds like. Sounds like it'll solve it if I hit
No click.
apply. All better now. Yeah? Just to show you the difference between that and the Magic Heal tool, if I do this and then go Magic, I only use the key commands. Oh, there it is, Auto Heal. You can see what it actually changes the whole inside. Oops, sorry.
His life forever. He had been
You hear
his
it?
life forever.
Yeah.
He had been his life forever. He had
So it's not really as effective as doing what we did before. Oops, I want to undo. I'll just do this again, no big deal. Restoration. Let's see if we do the click and pop eliminator. Let's see if that makes a big difference. Ooh, yeah, it looks like it's going to take care of it really nicely. Maybe not quite. Let's move the sensitivity up just to try the different plugin. Should do it. Yep, all better. So now we have a clean patch that we can use
of noise.
for noise. Yes, we'll go.
It's a great noise.
Nice. It's so lovely.
Picked it out of thousands.
We're going to say capture noise print, which it does, and we're going to bring in noise reduction process. Here's that pretty thing. We're going to select all and take a little gander. I'm going to actually show you some of the cool things that are in the advanced window, which I told you never to open, but we're going to open it just for fun here today.
Oh, this is exciting.
It's so
It's
exciting.
like Christmas.
It's like Christmas, but no tree and only two bald men. So I'm going to
Kind of like elves.
very large elves.
When Julian Hernandez was trying to apply for college, he unearthed a secret that would change his life forever. He had been missing for 12 years.
So what we have here is the full noise reduction. That's this at 100%, and then reducing by 16.5 decibels, which is a pretty strong reduction. I think let's make it 90, kind of give it a little bit of
And
a
that's
fall.
just the room tone.
Yeah, you're hearing the reverb.
The reverb of the room.
Yeah.
Because that's amazing.
It's way better, right?
Yeah.
Than we had from Essential Sound Panel. But we're hearing still some of that weird crunchiness. And a lot of that has to do with this right here, smoothing. And right now it's at its very smallest setting. So if we run this up to a maximum 1K setting, let's 1024, let's see what happens.
When Julian Hernandez was trying to apply for college, he unearthed a secret that would change his life forever. He had been missing for 12 years.
So check that out versus with it basically off.
When Julian Hernandez was trying to apply for college, he unearthed a secret that would change his life forever.
You can hear it in the sibilance, how it's kind of going, the difference between a little bit more smooth and a little bit of that crunchiness.
When Julian Hernandez was trying to apply for college, he unearthed a secret that would change his life forever. He had been...
And then if we do spectral decay rate, what happens is that kind of gating that you're hearing after he speaks, that sort of sounds like the room ringing. The faster that decay rate is, the faster that Audition will clamp down on noise. The longer it is, you can make it so long that it doesn't do anything. So if we run this up to 100%.
When Julian Hernandez was trying to apply for college, he unearthed a secret.
Just noise. But if we bring it down or find maybe a little maybe bring it down to 1%, not 0. That's too much, too little.
When Julian Hernandez was trying to apply for college, he unearthed a secret that would change his life forever.
Now that's pretty clean. It's actually cutting off the reverb in the room, which is what we want ultimately.
Yeah. But, it's not so wet.
Yeah, it's not so wet. Obviously, the effect is causing us some chirpiness. So we're going to bring the reduction down a little bit.
When Julian Hernandez was trying to apply for college, he unearthed a secret that would change his life forever.
Now, as far as the noise, not the pitch, but the noise goes, I'm pretty happy with that. There's very little noise that's going on. So let's hit apply. Let's see what we get.
He's a little wobbly, but...
It's a little bit, yeah.
When Julian Hernandez was trying to apply for college, he unearthed a secret that would change his...
You're right. This is black, which means it's zero noise. And I don't need zero noise. We got a little bit of noise, and that will, again, in that coefficient, help us get a little less artifacts. In fact, I'm going to leave this at 10 decibels and bring down the noise reduction percentage. Let's try this so I get a little bit of noise.
When Julian Hernandez was trying to apply for college, he unearthed a secret that would change his life forever.
That's pretty good, except for the and you can see it here, this thing, there's one here, and there's a weirdness that's here. Okay, so for those of you who have done this in Isotope RX, you know that you just use the frequency tool, you just drag it across, kill it. And you can do that to an extent if you use the marquee tool. And we can select this whole thing.
It's a great sound.
It's a cool sound, right?
Yeah.
The problem is, if we were to do this, we will cut off his voice where it's actually masking that pitch, and it's going to sound like you could, in essence, do this with an EQ. So we want to be a little bit more surgical, but there isn't a way to do this. You can't marquee and then option marquee to carve out what you want. It'll only
do the whole thing.
Yeah, it only gives you one. You can't even shift click. You can do it with the lasso, but the lasso is a little too difficult to use. And the same with the brush. I mean, you could do this, but again, it's not accurate enough. So we have to do a little bit of elbow grease. And what we'll do is we go like this, just this amount. I'm going to hit delete. And as long as I'm not selecting an entire chunk of time, delete only deletes the portion that you selected. If you type a whole chunk of time, it'll actually just do this with your time, which is kind of a drag. And we're going to do the next section, which is here, delete. And this is, I'm looking for places that are not in his voice. And obviously, nobody's voice makes a line like this. So this is the, I don't know, the Coke machine or something.
Mine does. I don't know if you've noticed my voice has
is that right?
a line right there.
Is that what that is? We're going to have to record it in a minute and find that out.
That's right.
What pitch is that? And we'll just actually probably delete it in your larynx.
And then, yeah, could you do that?
Electric shock, that's where we use that.
That'd be great.
So you can see what I'm doing here. I'm just not kind of willy-nillying it, not being very accurate, but let's see how we did.
When Julian Hernandez was trying to apply for college, he unearthed a secret that would change his life forever. He had been missing for 12 years.
So that's a way massive improvement on that that's going on, right? And for those of you who have incredibly good hearing, you can hear the one that's happening up here at 7K. We can get rid of that. It's just a little bit funky monkey up here for a second on his sibilance in particular that's causing some of that chirpiness. In FFT, denoising, which is what Adobe Audition uses, some of these sibilants can really create extra chirpiness, so we want to get rid of that extra stuff.
When Julian Hernandez was trying to apply for college, he unearthed a secret that would change his life
There's still
forever.
that little warble
had
in
been
it.
And I'm betting that's somewhere here. Maybe
There it
it's
is.
down here.
When Julian Hernandez was trying to apply for college, he unearthed a secret.
I guess there's another
That's
line
when
that's
he's in
here.
the trunk of the car.
That's when we want to see the arm hanging out. So I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm just gonna kind of Willy Nelson this little patch you can kind of see a line, which again is some fan from the machine. Not a ghost in the machine, but a
You had
fan.
a lot of noise in this thing.
Yeah, it's
I would just say.
now you know why we stopped using
yeah,
it.
Right? Record
Now you know we
somewhere
stopped
else.
using it on sound advice. Like, this takes too long. Oh my gosh.
Can't make it good.
No, we can get it pretty good.
Yeah.
Julian Hernandez was
He
trying to
can.
apply for college, he unearthed a secret that would change his life forever.
Wait, let's hear
He had
it.
been when Julian
been missing
Hernandez
for
was trying to apply
12
for
years.
college.
Are you finally hearing this?
I'm trying to get the whole story. I was listening to the sound, not the words.
That's a good
And
point.
so he's been missing for 12,
12
years.
When Julian Hernandez was trying to apply for college, he unearthed a secret that would change his life forever. He had been missing for 12 years.
How did he not know he was
Right.
missing
How
for
did he not
12
know?
years?
It's weird. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want to cut off all the frequencies that are beneath his fundamental. Andreas is kind of a tenor, so he's got some space. There's some junk down here I can get rid of. How do we do that? Well, as you all know, if you click, zoom reset. If you control click anywhere in Audition, you can find all kinds of fun things like this. So we'll go full linear, where you can get some nice resolution on the high frequencies. Stop that. Or you can go full logarithmic, where you get a lot of space in the low frequencies. And what we will do is we will take all of this junk that's down here,
Don't need it.
which you probably can't hear unless you're on really good headphones, delete. In fact, let's see if we can hear his.
These headphones are amazing.
Yeah,
The
they're pretty
Cinema
good.
Sound headphones, I don't know if you've noticed that they're Cinema Sound.
That's actually, you're wearing the version 1s, and these are the version 2s. Yeah.
He's got the logo on there.
Actually, we can get rid of that too. Okay, so that's cool.
They're available online.
You're like my agent right now.
I'm doing what I can.
That's so cool.
I don't know how to do what he's doing over there.
I'm trying to show you.
Hey, you're doing great.
Me to show you. Okay, so now we've got
When
this.
Julian Hernandez was trying to apply for college, he unearthed a secret that would change his life.
So the only thing that's left is that weird background noise that's digitizing.
Yeah.
So let's see if we can get lucky now that we have cleaned up a lot of this noise. That's kind of the sound.
That is the warble.
Let's see if it's here. No, he's got a breath in there. Ooh, that's even better. That's kind of, it sounds like
something like the.
it sounds like an Atari 2600.
I was thinking the dilithium crystals.
Oh yeah, on the new next generation Enterprise.
Yeah.
That's
A little
cool.
too fast.
A little too fast, but if
too
you slowed it
fast.
down, wow, you're right. That's really good. I like that. So we're going to do the same thing. The things you hear, that's awesome. We're going to capture a noise print. Let's see if this makes any, we're sort of processing the process. I mean, look at this curve. That looks
my
pretty
God.
crazy. We're going to try to not do very much. We're going to do it full, maybe 8 decibels. Let's see how we do with this.
When Julian Hernandez was trying to apply for college, he unearthed a secret that would change his life forever. He had been missing for 12 years.
Not bad. We're going to apply it. It's going to clean up some of this junk. There's one more pitch, and you can all hear it.
When Julian Hernandez was trying to apply for college,
And that should be...
I can't hear it. Play it again.
when Julian Hernandez was trying to apply for college, he unearthed
Oh, yeah.
a secret that would change his life forever. He had been missing for 12 years.
It's in there a little bit from time to time. I think it's in this zone. Nope.
Or you actually whistled that.
Yeah.
He's got good ears.
I try. What's great about Audition, in fact, I'm going to see if I can really nail it here. I think it's just the bottom half of our edit. You're not helping.
Sorry. I was
Oh, it's right there. What's great about Audition is I don't want to kill this, because then I'm going to cut into his voice. I just need to bring it down a little, which if you're an Isotope RX, there's a function called attenuate. And it does a lot of math, and a lot of times it's good for things, but I just want to bring this section down. And that's what I've been doing with this little hidden little thing here, It's a little volume knob for whatever you've selected. How cool is this? Let's see if we just bring it down, maybe 4,
rather than
5.
get rid of it.
I just need to bring it down.
When Julian Hernandez was trying to apply for college, he unearthed a secret that
It's still there.
Wow, it's so much better.
Yeah. But I'm going to try it just to fix it a little bit more.
Still worried about Julian, but it
Yeah.
sounds much better.
There. Just like we do with basic grade, when you move the EQ around and you're like, whoa, there's that frequency. We do the same thing here. Let's bring it down 9 decibels. See if that fixes
When
it.
Julian Hernandez was trying to apply for college, he unearthed a secret that would change his life forever. He had been missing for 12 years.
And I knew, you can see that it coming in, that little event
blip
horizon
there.
right here, which is easy for us to fix. That's completely digital.
delete it.
That was not us. That was not Andreas.
Changed his life forever. He had been missing for 12 years.
So you can keep messing with this, but imagine, let's go back to Premiere. Here's your original.
When Julian Hernandez was trying to apply for college, he unearthed a secret that would change his life forever.
As opposed to what we have.
Change his life forever. He had been missing for 12 years.
Is it perfect? No, but it would definitely stand up if you were to add more background
you put
noise.
some good ambient sound in
ambiences,
there, yeah.
and
Like
if
a
there was
little room
music.
tone.
Yeah. So how do we get this back to Premiere? If you look here, you can see that there's the asterisk on the file, but notice that it's now has an extracted added to it, which means it is a separate file. And once I hit
So it
save,
doesn't get written over.
which the old versions used to.
Okay.
Once I hit save, then it will destructively update this file, and then Premiere will update it. So we'll hit save, bang, you see the asterisk is gone. This will update like it just did.
When Julian Hernandez was trying to apply for college,
And now if you look here, all that space that was in that junk in between the dialogue is gone. No more weirdness. It's all been removed. Now, if you, oh, it actually does keep it in here. So that's the original file, and then there's the extracted file. So if you wanted to go back to the original, you can. I didn't know that. That's cool. I thought
You
maybe
really like noise.
you just loved it. Or you got into a mix situation and you were like, oh, I did too much. Or, oh, I need to do more. I got to go back to the original.
Right, he sounds all warbly.
Yeah, or it's too much warble. You know, sometimes that shows up, especially when you have to add compression to it.
Yeah.
So, oops, there we go. So that's the process for just doing a simple, I guess that is dynamic linking.
That is dynamic linking.
Yeah, just no picture back and forth. I don't think you get picture. I think it just sends you to this window. Because if I were to go back to the multi-track window, it would have no reference unless I pulled this in, which I could. But
With it.
yeah. So anyway, anybody have any questions? Nobody has any questions. You're just all enjoying what's happening here.
They're either asleep.
They're asleep. We've lulled them. Our comedy is just
Yeah, right.
not
The
been
comedy stylings of Lewis and Cam.
Yeah. Cool. So hopefully that's been helpful just to kind of, I've been wanting to do this, and I don't remember when we talk about doing this in the education, because I don't even know what chapter we're on. I have to go look, but I just wanted to give you guys all some time with Mr. Cam, and any
Sorry about that.
any parting good words for them?
Yeah. Go forth and make good audio.
Awesome. Just a reminder, if you are tuning in here at the end, there is no compression next week. I'll be in DC. Also, if you scroll up in the chat window there, totally engrossed. Thank you, Max. Max, do you have any questions? Max actually did, he took up the, I was going to say the Turkey Day deal. It's the Black Friday deal on on MZ Education. You could get the
whole education.
a whole thing for $1.99.
What?
$199
That's nice.
for the year.
That's great.
It's 50% off
For everything?
for everything. That's
Dude, that's a bargain.
Alex Bono.
One class would be a bargain.
Cinema Sound at $2.99 is a bargain.
Right?
Speaking of which, we've had now 2 people buy the hard drive. And if you the hard drive is it's basically the hard drive, the white zone. It's basically the entire education and the old education where we go through the Rode microphones, which Cam and I replaced, and every
Oh yeah, this is everything. This is the whole
Everything.
shebang.
It's probably 80.
Everything.
It's probably 90 hours.
It's all the stuff I had to watch.
Yes, and all the stuff you had to reshoot.
Yeah.
And all of the digital products, the Quick Start Guide, my ebook, Adobe Audition 123, how to get auditions that get you cast. I mean, all that stuff, all put on a hard drive,
Is it
shipped
a
to you.
signature? Do you put your signature
If
on the
you
top?
want me to sign a hard
sign the
drive-
hard drive. I think that would be, I would put it just above the.
Put it above. That's very
knock
nice.
down my light.
Yeah, don't get in your light. I'll sign it, but you have to say that.
Get him to sign it.
And so that's available to you. It's on the store. If you hate downloading or if you hate streaming and you just want to have this stuff, plus any updates that we do, they'll obviously go to the Vimeo where we're hosting the streaming part, but I'll send them to you.
Did you have a Black Friday deal?
I did.
Oh, what'd you do?
We did 30% off almost everything, and the hard drive didn't come down, actually.
I guess I shouldn't say anything because you missed it.
You missed it.
So it's
So
it's
sorry.
actually not available.
We actually had
anymore.
somebody say that. They're like, "Oh, I tried, but the password didn't work." I go, "It's Tuesday." That ended on Monday.
That was Cyber Monday.
Sorry, that's why it's called Cyber Monday.
Yeah.
Oh well. Hey Max, what do we got now, sir? Are you one-man show or do you have a team? I'm guessing Jerry's talking to you, not to me because he knows
Oh.
me. Max, and then Max. Now we know the real reason you're going to Washington D.C. to teach male enhancement.
There you go.
I'm going to actually bring it before the Senate floor and go, listen, what's really important, we shouldn't oh boy, I'm going to say something I shouldn't say. I'm not going to say it. Yes, that's a great
He
idea.
stopped himself.
I stopped myself. Got to keep it PG at least.
I will shoot occasionally by myself, but most of the time I need some crew because I don't want to run everything myself. I mean, if you're doing camera and audio all by yourself, you're doing too many jobs and it's hard to focus on performance. But if you got a setup where it's just turn everything on, then I can do it. Like when I was helping people with social media for a while, and I had to set up a stage and I had mic, and so basically I could just turn it on and focus on their performance, make sure their energy is up and make sure their voice isn't cracking like mine, and get, make sure they're not saying stupid things. So that's, I wouldn't do all that if you could avoid it. So
Yeah, part of the thing with filmmaking in a one-man band situation is that it's incredibly efficient. There's nobody to argue with, and there's also no collaboration. You can only get as good as you can make it. But with collaboration and having more people, yeah, there's more politics, and there's more other things, and maybe you have to pay them.
and people forget stuff.
And stuff happens. Murphy, your potential for Murphy's Law
Double
doubles and
Murphy's
triples
Law,
the more
yeah.
people you add. But you're always going to make a better product hiring or bringing on the right people. And if you can interact with them, the sum of your parts is nowhere near what you're going to get. So like on Curse the Shaolin, he basically put the whole movie together by himself. I mean, on his own with the partners, without me is what I should say. It wasn't on yourself.
Before you got there.
And then when I got there, I was like, well, what about this and this? And we kind of we recut it.
It was great.
Complete new audio, new music. There was some new narration.
Added
new
some
scenes,
elements.
Added some
Yeah.
scenes. We took a whole bunch out. It was not a different movie, but I believe, a much better presentation of the story. And he just brought me on. So if there had been 3 other people that were great, who trusted him and who trusted his vision, it could have been even better. But we ran out of time. So, or whatever. I think we just got tired of it.
I think we just got tired. We were like, we're done. That's enough.
We got into the mix. We mixed it at Michael Bodeker's. We did like I tell you all to do all of the mix at home in your home studio, 90% of it, and then go take it to a really great studio. Well, we went to Michael Bodeker's Soul 7, which again we have an interview.
It was great.
And we spent one day there. I think we were there one day.
One day.
For a feature length because we had everything, all our ducks in
It
a
was
row.
all kind of dialed in, and then just we could hear everything in a big room, and it was that way. We got to really hear how good it sounded, which was awesome. And then the things that stood out, you could really hear there, and then we just fixed them. There wasn't that much to do.
Yeah.
Although I think we worked. It was a long day, but
We worked a long day. It was, I think, a 14-hour day.
yeah, but
But
you can't do a film in 14 hours.
you can't do anything in 14 hours. You can barely get through a short film
Yeah.
unless you're prepared. And in fact, I think most of the things we ended up dealing with were the LFE, the surround channel, because in a smaller studio sometimes that can be deceiving, and I didn't know then what I know now about it. And then just kind of cleaning dialogue that, again, in a microscope like Michael's studio is at Soul 7, you just hear all the things you couldn't hear otherwise. And of course, I have actually better speakers now than he had then in this JBL Series 7s. He's got the JBL 6328Ps, which I used to have, which I love. But yeah, having great speakers in a tuned room helps a lot.
Yeah.
Find the junk.
You know, I find that when you mix with headphones, it sounds totally different than with speakers. So I was like, it sounds so good, and you can hear everything perfectly, and then you take it off and you're like, I don't hear any of the little things that I put in there. They're like, they disappear because it's a room and stuff isn't there. And it's funny, that reminds me, well, that's my recommendation is if you're working at home and you don't want to make your neighbors pissed off at you for listening to the same thing over and over again, do it on headphones and then listen to speakers. But I used to work at a post house, and they would always do the mix, and then they'd bring out this shitty television set, and they would plug it in, and they would just run the sound through the little crappy speakers on this shitty television set, and they're like, this is the way most people are going to hear it. Can you hear those little fine, it's like bring up the birds because you can't hear them at all. So it was really interesting just to put it into a crappy, we called it the crappy TV, and it's like, bring out the crappy TV, and it was like, nope, you're not hearing any of that. So it was a good way to figure some things out.
In one of that's such a great thing. In the olden days, we used to have speakers called Oratones, and they were actually really good speakers, but they were just one cone and a little wooden box.
Oh, yeah, right.
And actually, I think Oratone's still around. They've gotten bought by their small company now, but they sounded really terrible because they were just,
Right.
they were great
Just
speakers,
cone,
but they were
a box.
And you would push the button on your mix and listen to it through the Oratones, because theoretically that's what they're supposed to sound like on a TV, which actually TVs sound worse. But on the tour, I had just cut the trailer for Blade of Honor, and I'd play it on these massive speaker systems in the 5.1 that we had there, and everybody had the same complaint, which is, we can't hear the dialogue. We can't hear the dialogue. There's no dialogue. Why would you? We just spent 8 hours with you, bozo, and now you can't hear it. And I'm like, okay. And I picked up my phone, and I had the same mix on my iPhone. It was iPhone 7 or 6 Plus, and I'd play it on my phone, and they were all like, whoa. Everywhere in this massive room where there's 50 people or more,
They could hear the dialogue.
everywhere in the room they heard the dialogue clean as a whistle. And I was like, I didn't mix this to run this through a giant 5.1 system. I mixed it specifically because people are going to watch it on their little teeny speakers and their little teeny iPhone or their little teeny things. And it was like hair cuttingly, everybody looked like our hair afterwards.
Really?
They were all like, whoa, so much dialogue.
Blew them away.
So if you know your end result, we say this all the time.
Probably the phone. Most people are going to watch on the phone.
At the very least, your laptop speakers, you gotta play your mix through one of those things and see where you land, for sure. What else we got here? Can I view your film? Yes, it's on Amazon.
It is. Curse of the Shaolin on Amazon Prime. It's free on Amazon Prime, but I think you should buy it. I'm just thinking you should probably buy it.
Just buy it. Is Leomark, how do they distribute it, or are they distributing
Leomark's not distributing it this time.
Okay, so it's on Amazon.
Yeah.
Cool. Yep, that's where you see it. It's a fun documentary. It's what do my British friends say? It's full of indeterminates. You think you're going here, and then you go here, and then you're like, whoa, I'm going here. Whoa. It's really fun. And one of my favorite parts is he hires this narrator, whose voice I'm not really fond of, but
really? Matt's got a great voice, but you got a great voice.
I know, but we EQ'd it so it didn't sound like a knife in my eyeball, which is how.
Really, you didn't like the sound of his voice.
The sound of his voice was recorded in such a way that it was like, wow, that is just.
That's because I recorded it.
Oh, I don't know. I was just going in the mix and going, wow, what happened to this guy? He was supposed to be a voiceover. Sounds like, I don't know, Mick Jagger on a dynamic microphone in a guitar amp. So we cleaned it up, and anyway, it didn't sound great. So it's fine.
He fixed it, though.
But my favorite part is he goes, in the movie, he's like, that's Matt, my voiceover guy. I was trying to figure out if I wanted to use him, but I paid him, so I'm just going to use it anyway. I'm like, yeah, it's funny. Has its moments for sure. Okay, any other questions? Otherwise, we are way over time. It's 7:20 here on the Pacific coast of the United States. Thank you all. Maybe if we're lucky, we'll have Mr. Cam back and
at least for comedy relief.
Comedy relief. So we're probably gonna do fix because we're gonna get into more even juicier bits of how to fix this. We're gonna bring up Spectral Layers Pro and a few other cool things for the next few weeks once we're back, maybe through the end of the year, and then we're gonna be jumping into effects. And maybe we'll have you back for dealing with sound effects and layering and having fun putting that stuff together. And then after that, we'll be into music, which I'm not totally sure how we're going to do that, but I'll come up with something great. And then many weeks of mixing.
He can play music, so he should just do all the music. He should be a one-man band, literally.
One of the things I toyed with was the idea of coming out of the studio and just going to the piano and just setting up,
I think that's a good idea.
Piano and just playing. Sometimes that for teaching what music is, how it works, the three aspects of music. So we'll see. It's better than playing things in Adobe Audition and going, look, isn't that nice? But
you have this nice cinema sound background. You could have a piano in the background.
Yeah, and my horrific studio. So you can see how horrible my studio looks.
No, you have to just clean up that one part that's on camera.
All I'll do is I'll take my phone and suspend it down on the keys.
Straight down. There's it. Look how nice this keyboard looks.
Backwards, like for those of you.
The wires all on the ground.
Yeah, for those of you who've seen my Facebook, I finally figured out how to flop the phone on Facebook Live so that when you put the camera.
Because you were going the wrong way.
Yeah, the keyboard's going the wrong direction.
I saw that people are complaining. They're like, that your keyboard is backwards.
Is your keyboard left-handed? I'm like,
left-handed.
No, but. Okay, I got it.
You're in a parallel universe.
I'm in it. Yeah, I'm in the dark universe. That's what I'm in. That's totally what it was.
The upside down and backwards.
The upside down. For those of you who are Stranger Things fans. Anyway, thank you all. We'll be on here just for a couple more minutes as we kind of clean things up. But if you got any other questions, you can drop them on us here in a moment. Otherwise, we'll sign off. And for those of you who are on the mailing list, you'll get this playback.
Merry Christmas to you.
Hey, Jerry.
Jerry. Aloha.
Yeah. Jerry's like 3 hours ahead in Hawaii, as I recall, or Samoa or somewhere.
He stayed up late for this.
No, it's like
3 hours earlier.
4 p.m.
Yeah.
He got at 3 p.m.
Yeah,
He left work early.
He did. He's going to happy hour after this.
Happy hour. Yeah, just in time. How dope is that? You know what else is cool about having your music in this surround plugin? Is that we're mono right now, you and I.
Right.
So
you have mono. I don't have mono.
No. Not mononucleosis.
Oh, okay.
But if I take the music, let's turn the center channel back up and put it where most people put it. See how all of a sudden it feels like it's right on, kind of more on top of us. I haven't changed the volume.
It just went up here.
Yeah, you're like it's in our face panoramically.
Yeah.
But if we bring it back to the surrounds. Back here, all of a sudden it's
kind of backgroundy.
Yeah, it's
it feels
space.
It feels like we're up here, and that's interesting. Your voice actually feels like it's up higher. Yeah,
it's cool. And then you can actually bring it further back, so it's way back here. And
it's so weird.
It's so weird, right? Here, I'll show you.
I hope you're on headphones right now.
Yeah, I'll show you what we're doing. Oh, now your head's in the way.
Oh, wait,
hold on.
I'll get out of the way.
No. I got it.
It's up there.
No, I'll fix it.
That's it?
There. This is the panner we're doing. So
you guys want to see my really long hand again?
There it is. Oh, what's happening? So if you put music in mono, it's right on top of us because again, we're mono. And again, we haven't changed the volume, we haven't changed the EQ.
Yeah, but it's right in the middle of where we're talking.
And that's stereo, which is
it
better.
It kind of sits, it makes it hard to hear you.
Yeah, it's just annoying. We'd have to turn the fader down, which I always hate. But if we put it in the back, all of a sudden we've got all this space. And
that's really cool.
I'm not using Notch EQ, I'm not doing any of that. If we did use Notch EQ, then we'd even have more. I actually submitted a course to NAB to see if I can teach people how to do this and do the Notch EQ for music and panning. We'll see if they accept me. Jody, what are you saying? Oh, Jerry, you're in Texas. Sorry.
Oops.
Aloha.
So he
Did they
did-
say aloha in Texas? I mean, I know everything's bigger, but really?
Texas goes all the way to Hawaii, that's why.
Oh yeah, Jody. I tell you what, Jody. I don't know. Did you ever go to Sound Advice? I don't think I met you in Sound Advice, but we would do this example where we would demonstrate this, and everybody in the audience had headphones. And every night, what I would do is I would take. We had this. I think it was Iron Man.
Is it coming?
Yeah, we were using Iron Man as an example, and I would take the music and pan it up and over here. Oh, you can't see what I'm doing. I'm off the frame, but up in like the speakers up in the center left high, and just play it. I'm going, no, I'm just going to play this for you. Here's stereo, regular stereo. And they're like, okay. And then we hit this, and everybody would do this. They'd look up, or they'd take, because it's so real.
They'd be like, what?
Yeah. So totally, Jody, you're like, oh, was it?
Where'd the music
Who's playing
go?
that music? So I love this plugin so much. You're like, what plugin? We still haven't seen it. I've shown it to you a bunch of times, but it's Spatial Audio Designer. If you're a Cinema Sound member, you get 40% off. 40% off. It's so great.
4-0.
I think it's for them. It's.
No, I got it right.
Oh, you did. Good for you.
I went backwards.
It's hard to do. You can see it's taking the stereo and then turning it into a 5.1 that then is getting routed out to you in 5.1. It's pretty cool.
Cool. Well, we're way over time.
We're way over time. Just
The commercial.
killing time. We got to go have dinner.
Yeah.
So thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful 2 weeks, and I should have lots of stories for you from DC and our nation's capital at that time.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
was
it's been a
fun.
pleasure.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
was a
so
good
much
time.
fun.
It was a good time. You don't even want to stop. You're like, oh,
Yeah, just keep going. What else can we come up with? Hey, let's push some more buttons. Yay. So, cool. Thanks, everybody. Until then, we'll see you in post.
see you next time.